Welcome to today's story, the remarkable account of Esther, a young Jewish woman who rose from obscurity to the throne of Persia, and through courage, faith, and wisdom, saved her people from destruction. Her story is one of providence, bravery, and divine timing. Let us journey back to the ancient kingdom of Persia and uncover the events that forever marked history. The story begins in the vast Persian Empire under King Ahasuerus, also known as Xerxes. His rule stretched from India to Ethiopia, over 127 provinces. This was a time of wealth, splendor, and political intrigue. To demonstrate his glory, the king hosted a lavish feast lasting 180 days, followed by another banquet of 7 days. But during this celebration, Queen Vashti refused to obey the king's command to appear before the nobles. Her defiance cost her the throne, leaving the empire in need of a new queen. Among the many young women gathered for consideration was Hadassah, known as Esther, a Jewish orphan raised by her cousin Mordecai. Esther was taken into the king's palace, where she gained favor with Hegai, the keeper of the women. For a full year, the women underwent beauty preparations before being presented to the king. When Esther's turn came, she asked for nothing more than what was given. Yet her humility and grace captured Xerxes' heart. Esther was crowned queen, yet she kept her Jewish identity secret, as Mordecai advised. Not long after, Mordecai uncovered a plot against the king. He reported it through Esther, and the conspirators were executed. This act of loyalty was recorded in the royal chronicles, a detail that would later change the fate of an entire nation. Enter Haman, the king's highest official. Arrogant and proud, he demanded honor from all. But Mordecai refused to bow, remaining faithful to God. Enraged, Haman sought not only to destroy Mordecai, but to annihilate all the Jews in the empire. He persuaded the king to issue a decree for their destruction, casting lots, or Purim, to determine the date. With the king's signet ring, Haman sealed the fate of the Jews, setting a day for their extermination. Panic spread throughout the Jewish community. When Mordecai learned of the decree, he tore his clothes and sat in sackcloth and ashes, mourning bitterly. He urged Esther to go before the king and plead for her people. But approaching the king without being summoned carried a death sentence, unless he extended his golden scepter. Esther hesitated, fearing for her life, but Mordecai's words echoed, "Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" After fasting for 3 days with the Jews of Susa, Esther resolved to act. "If I perish, I perish." She entered the king's hall. When Xerxes saw her, he extended the golden scepter. She lived. Rather than immediately revealing her request, Esther wisely invited the king and Haman to a banquet. There she invited them again to a second banquet the following day, setting the stage for Haman's downfall. That night, the king could not sleep. He ordered the chronicles to be read and discovered Mordecai's loyalty in exposing the assassination plot. Realizing Mordecai had never been honored, the king asked Haman what should be done for a man the king delights to honor. Thinking it was himself, Haman described a lavish public parade. To his horror, the king commanded him to honor Mordecai in that very way. Humiliated, Haman's pride turned to rage. At the second banquet, the king pressed Esther for her request. With courage, she revealed her true identity. She was a Jew, and her people had been marked for destruction. Pointing to Haman, she declared, "This enemy is none other than Haman." The king, enraged, left the room. When he returned, he found Haman begging for his life at Esther's couch. Misinterpreting the scene as an assault, the king ordered Haman to be executed on the very gallows he had built for Mordecai. Though Haman was dead, the decree remained, for the laws of Persia could not be revoked. But at Esther's request, the king issued a new decree, allowing the Jews to defend themselves.
On the appointed day, the Jews stood united and defeated their enemies.
What was meant for their destruction became a day of deliverance. In remembrance, the Feast of Purim was established, a celebration of God's providence and the courage of Queen Esther. To this day, Jews around the world read the Book of Esther and remember the faith and bravery that preserve their people. Esther's story is more than history. It is a reminder that even in exile, God's hand is at work. A young woman, orphaned and hidden, rose to become a queen and a deliverer. Her words still echo, "If I perish, I perish." Her courage teaches us that faith, wisdom, and trust in God can change the course of nations. Truly, Esther was chosen for such a time as this.